Well, good morning. As you can see, in the van, and yeah, just away for a couple of days. Thought I would jump in the van, had a couple of days spare, and go on a little bit of a bimble. Firstly, oh, hang on. Two minutes. Much better. Also realised I'm probably the only person on YouTube out there who isn't making their coffee in some highfalutin scientific thingy-me-jiggy. It's all about the urgency. Get the coffee in. Anyway, so yeah, I've come away for a couple of days. No real sort of plan. You hear me say that a lot. Well, actually, that's a little bit of a sort of white lie. The plan is to really slow myself down. One of the things, and I'm sure a lot of YouTubers can testify to, especially when we're going out in, sunset and sunrise and, conditions as the conditions are, really changing fast, or the conditions are really good, is no matter how much you try not to, you can really sometimes feel very rushed doing stills, doing video, and more often than not, one of them will suffer. And hopefully, as a photographer, it's the video that is suffering most. But more than that, even if we're not recording a vlog or recording some video footage, we can quite often kind of rush compositions. We can quite often rush. Haven't had some of this injection yet. We can quite often rush just the whole seeing, rush pie scenes. And so what I said I would give myself a couple of days away now. I'm very thankful. Well, I'm thankful that I'm able to do this, but one of the reasons I'm able to do this is I stopped doing my one-to-one workshops. I'll link a blog somewhere along the line of why that was, all related to the whole COVID restrictions. But that has given me a little bit more time. Just spent a few days doing a lot of prints for clients, which I'm extremely grateful for. Thank you for that. But I thought I'd get myself away. So anyway, back to my point. So I've got a couple of days. I arrived here yesterday, as you saw in the little intro. And I've really challenged myself just to spend the next 2-3 days, got pretty much the whole week, but probably 2-3 days, just bimbling, just walking and looking and trying to see. Now, the conditions are not going to be ideal, I don't think. And by that I mean, I think it's actually supposed to be quite sunny. Now, you wouldn't think it because right now, or overnight, we had a huge rainstorm move through, which reminds me the back doors of the van are still leaking. So it's going into VW next week to have another little bit of a tinker with. But yeah, just a couple of days just walking, and I'm really going to try to set myself a bit of a challenge. See whether I can come up with 1, 2, maybe 3 images that I'm really happy with. Not just happy with the final image, but happy with the whole process that I followed. The exploration, the slowing myself down, the coming across a scene and really spending time with that scene. Now, I'm not sure whether this is going to make into 1 or 2, maybe 3, probably 1 or 2 different vlogs. And that's really all I'm doing, so I'm not going to sort of wander too far from here. There's a couple of woodlands around, there's a couple of stretches of river around, and I really just want to set myself a bit of a challenge to see whether slowing myself down and really just being really open to the environment and not just rushing past it. Now, in yesterday's little explore, out for about three and a bit hours. Looks like actually I walked about 7 miles or so. there were a couple of scenes that really sort of caught my eye, and so I hope maybe today, maybe tomorrow, to go back and see whether or not we can make something of those. I mostly the images that obviously you've maybe seen already were all taken just with the iPhone, just as a little bit of a recce. So that's the plan. Firstly, burn my tongue. Firstly, have a coffee. This rain's going to move through. Now, you're probably screaming at the screen now and going, Nigel, it's raining. There's probably some atmospheric conditions out there, and there could be. There's absolutely no light whatsoever, so the chances are it wouldn't be any way decent. And again, I feel as if I were to go up into an environment that had some lovely conditions that were fast moving through, I would revert back to type and be very quick and rushed with the composition. So I'm purposely going to sort of just hold fire and then go for another little wander. This morning I plan to explore a different woodland than yesterday, and then probably this afternoon head up back into the woodland that I bimbled about in yesterday. But that's about it really. I'm going to go back to enjoying my coffee, do my Spanish lessons, doing the old Duolingo. I won't embarrass myself by saying, although for those of you who have done Duolingo, Juan come mucho manzanas. On that poorly pronounced sentence, I'm off to enjoy my coffee. We'll catch up from the woodland. Adios. So, first proper shot since I got down here yesterday. I was just kind of walking up. I cleared through the trees and the lovely sort of little mist hanging around on the edge of the woodland. And as I sort of come up now down in the woodland, even though this isn't probably going to be going out until mid-October, we're early September. And down in the woodland there's very little, if any, sort of sight of autumn. But as you kind of come up and break through the tree line, where there's been obviously a lot of commercial logging, you can just start to see the autumn on the ferns. And I actually prefer, when you're looking at ferns, this stage of autumn where you've got sort of little highlights of autumn. And then you've got the greens, and there's even some purples in there as well, with some of the last of the heather. Now, the scene changed pretty quickly, but what sort of drew my eye to it was a little rowan tree in between a couple of the pines, and that was kind of just standing out. Now, behind that, probably another 400 or 500 meters away, another woodland. But at the time, that was actually really sort of obscured by the mist, apart from one little section of it. And that's what really sort of drew my eye to the scene. Yeah, just a little sort of the rowan tree, and then just that little small bit of visibility of those distant pines as well. So, shooting in a square format, a little bit more mist actually moving through, so I might now look to maybe get another image. And in fact, That's hilarious. Now that I can see through the mist, there's actually a telecommunications tower that certainly wasn't visible before. But that mist is starting to move through again, so a bit of the light is starting to disappear. In fact, the mist is really moving through quite dramatically up the hill here, so let's see whether we can get another image of this, but quite like it. Quite simple, no filters, no sort of anything really. Shooting on the XT2 with the 18-135, I'd say probably at about 35mm. Yep, those back woodland have now disappeared, so let's see whether we can get another image. So another little scene kind of presented itself, not too far away from where the previous image was taken. And again, what made it, or I think what made it, was just that heavier mist moving through. A lot of that mist now has dissipated again, but I'm going to hang put because I think it's coming in waves again. The little woodland that I was talking about earlier, that was kind of coming and going, I can see it starting to take on some of that mist again. So, and again, it's just about that mixture of colours, and the sort of ambers of early autumn, the greens and a little bit of purple, this sort of lovely gnarly pine stretching up into the corner of the image. And I really love how bark on these trees look with a little bit of light on them. So I don't think that mist is gonna come through anymore. But again, this morning wasn't about mist, wasn't about atmosphere, it was about exploration and slowing myself down, and actually having that mist come through, I felt myself kind of rushing just a little bit. Now I'm kind of glad that I've sort of got those two images, but it almost felt a bit, this wasn't what you were here for, Nigel. You were here to sort of wander and slow down. So of course I'll take it, never look a gift horse in the mouth or a mist horse in the mouth. But I don't think, I can still see it sort of a little bit in the valley. Now the other thing as well is this path up is very busy. It's the path up towards some of the highest peaks around here, so there's a lot of footfall coming through. So what I might do is I might wander up just a little bit more, but then make my way back down, back into the woodland. Obviously, as I probably head up just another maybe a couple of 100 meters, I'm going to clear the woodland completely, and then you're on this sort of hike up. But yeah, rather nice. Now I'm going to leave things there for this vlog. I'm going to pick things up again next week, which may only be in about 10 minutes for me, but I think I've waffled on enough. But yeah, this is lovely, just no expectations, lots of time, and let's face it, just being outside. Right, hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll catch up again next week. 10 minutes next week. Take care. Bye bye.